Have you ever wondered how relationships and attraction work? Why, naturally, we become attracted to people and form relationships? Well, welcome to the PsychZoom podcast. I'm Ben, a psychology student, and I'm going to be taking you through the entire thing today in this mini podcast. So get comfy and let's zoom on in. So, over my time studying this and researching for this podcast, I've put together a fun little theory that might help you and me understand how attraction works in detail, and I call it the cake of attraction theory. So, let's start with the sponge, proximity. Proximity does, you could say, the bulk of attraction. It's what organically charges a sense of deepening attraction as you spend more time with a person and get to know them. It's mainly driven by two key hormones, dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine is what many people call the happy hormone. It's what triggers the initial crush, and trust me, your brain is addicted to dopamine, so once this starts to flow, you're definitely going to want to spend more time together. And as this happens, oxytocin slips its way in. Now, oxytocin is the hormone that makes you feel trust, security, and comfort. So once the dopamine has done its job and made you feel happy, the oxytocin starts to get on with building trust and comfort, making you feel much less vulnerable and a lot more attached, because your brain also roots for these feelings too. So now we've got this down, we can move on to the feeling, which I would say is familiarity. It's the next biggest bit, because normally we feel most comfortable with people that remind us of who we already know. It makes us feel safe, which is why you feel comfortable with people you're attracted to. It's a positive emotional response, you could say. And also, if you have social anxiety, it reduces that too, because it gives you a proper feeling of security, like how a baby feels with their parents. Okay, we're getting there now. We've done the sponge and the filling. We already know that our brains want dopamine and oxytocin, and that's what makes us attached to people, and that we feel safe and secure with people that remind us of those we know. So what else? The icing. Reciprocal thinking. It's like the glue that holds it all together, being liked back. It's one of the best feelings ever, right? It makes you feel wanted and appreciated. It makes you feel much less scared of social rejection, and it lets you know that you're truly wanted by someone. And once this creates a mutual spark, it's something like a chain reaction, making the mutual attraction much deeper very quickly. It's also a massive trigger for dopamine, on top of the amount built up by proximity. It's why we feel so good knowing that our feelings are mutual, you know? Okay, now on to the cherry on top. Physical attraction. The cherry exists before the cake, right? It's the same with physical attraction. When you see someone and like them, it's what sparks the initial wanting to talk to them stage. But it is much more complicated than that. So let's break it down. Our brains are wired to seek certain traits, like a symmetrical face, signs of good health, like bright skin, and of course, maturity. Our brains also have a certain feature many psychologists call the halo effect. Our brains are biased to think that people with these features carry positive traits in their personality too, making them more appealing to be friends with. Now, this is the cool but also slightly complicated bit. A cake can exist and still be edible without the cherry. And yeah, that's exactly the same with attraction. Sometimes we're just in a situation where we end up talking to people straight off, without seeing them before. And this can still trigger the cake to be baked, or the hormones to flow, meaning that the physical attraction can be bypassed. Hence the phrase that people use a lot nowadays, looks aren't everything. And there we have it, the whole cake. So, to summarise, attraction comes mainly from proximity, and can be kick-started by physical attraction and familiarity, then leading to mutual feelings, and it deepens from there. And sometimes into a relationship. And now we understand the basics of attraction, we can start to break down relationships. And they can be split into 3 major stages, I'd say. The coming together, the relational maintenance, and sometimes coming apart, or if not, it will progress to mature love. So firstly, we have the coming together, where both dopamine and oxytocin are rushing to create a sense of euphoria and even obsession. This means that the brain idealizes your partner, which is similar to having a huge crush, I suppose. And along with this, serotonin levels plummet right down to levels which can mimic OCD, causing the obsession I mentioned before. People often ignore any red flags during this time, due to the fact that the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala deactivate, and these parts are essential for critical thinking and threat assessment. And symbiosis is also a major part of this stage, wanting to spend every single free moment together. But this stage in its entirety is completely unsustainable though. And after that time frame is over, the chemistry in the brain will fall back to its baseline, ending the huge crush as the prefrontal cortex, or critical thinking, will once again activate, meaning that any red flags will begin to show again. And this also means that traits, which were overlooked originally, will now begin to show, meaning that clashes happen as the partner now no longer behaves like their idealized version from stage 1. And this also comes in a package with attachment triggers, where core values can sometimes fail. For example, an anxious partner can feel demanding or hypervigilant about rejection, while an avoidant partner may feel suffocated by this and perhaps withdraw. This means that partners unconsciously use tactics such as blame, guilt, or tracking points to attempt and force their partner back to who they used to be during stage 1. And this is commonly called a control loop. And this leads to what I call the crossroads, a period of critical instability, where couples either break up, fight constantly, or learn to accept and build healthy boundaries, and move on to the next phase. Now, this is where the deepest relationships form, as most of the complicated situations have been resolved, on hormone levels are fully stabilised. And in terms of hormones, while we're on that note, oxytocin remains elevated while you're with your partner, which maintains the bond and elevates further during physical contact. And now vasopressin will become elevated as well. And this introduces commitment. Now, general neurochemistry will also stabilise at the same time, meaning cortisol will decrease dramatically, causing a state of deep calm, safety, and emotional security. Therefore, serotonin will increase slightly, allowing the acceptance of interdependence, where both partners are interdependent with their own lives and friendships, while also sustaining life at the same time shared. Okay, so now there's another big bit of relationships worth noting, and this is physical contact. You know, hugging, kissing, and all of that. And as you get older, especially in your mid to late teens, this becomes a major part of a relationship, as it displays intimacy and care, creating senses of safety and trust. This, in turn, also slightly changes the psychological dynamics of the relationship, as both partners will have learnt authentic acceptance, interdependence, and conscious choice. And this is all topped off by physical contact. And there are 2 main forms this comes in, but let's break it down. So first, we have hugging. I mean, everyone likes a good hug, right? And you'd certainly not be wrong. It's often described as the stress buffer, so to speak. This is because the physical pressure of one activates Pacinian corpuscles, I think I pronounced that right, or pressure receptors. This, in turn, slows down heart rate and lowers both blood pressure and cortisol. It also stimulates the release of oxytocin throughout the entirety of the nervous system, promoting a sense of true safety and true protection. A prolonged hug, usually passing 20 seconds or so, is something like a complete reset. It completes the body's entire stress response cycle, forcing a state of calm. And the other part probably being kissing, or what I would call the chemistry checker. Now, this is incredibly cool, so stay tuned, as during kissing, albeit a bit gross, you'd exchange saliva with the partner. Now, saliva contains MHC, or major histocompatibility complex. I know, that's an absolute tongue twister, but what this does is it allows the brain to unconsciously test genetic compatibility and immune system health. Pretty nifty, right? The lips also contain many highly sensitive nerve endings, resulting in a very sharp spike in both dopamine and adrenaline, increasing happiness, alertness, and heart rate. And while both lower stress, kissing is also a major cortisol suppressant, specifically to increase romantic vulnerability and arousal, whilst lowering social anxiety. Whew, okay, and there we have it. The whole of attraction and relationships all in a mini podcast episode. So if you enjoyed this, do tune in for another episode on another fascinating topic soon. And if you want to read up on this further, the entire script and some links to other interesting articles will be linked in the description below. So thank you so much for listening, and keep calm, love psychology, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.